Global citizenship. What's your definition of citizenship? What does citizenship imply in terms of freedom and obligation? According to the Cambridge Dictionary, citizenship is the state of being a member of a particular country and having rights because of it. For example, he was granted Canadian citizenship, or he holds joint citizenship in Sweden and Peru. The concept of citizenship first started in towns and city-states in ancient Greece, where it only generally applied to property owners, which excluded women, slaves, or the poorer members of the community. The Romans first used citizenship to distinguish the residents of the city of Rome from those peoples whose territories Rome had conquered and incorporated. As their empire continued to grow, the Romans granted citizenship to their allies throughout Italy, and then to peoples in other Roman provinces, until in 112 CE citizenship was extended to all free inhabitants of the empire. In the late Middle Ages and the Renaissance, the holding of citizenship in various cities and towns of Italy and Germany became a guarantee of immunity for merchants and other privileged persons from the claims and prerogatives of feudal overlords. Modern concepts of citizenship crystallized in the 18th century during the American and French Revolutions, when the term citizen came to suggest the possession of certain liberties in the face of the coercive powers of absolutist monarchs. In England, the term citizen originally referred to membership of a borough or local municipal corporation, while the word subject was used to emphasize the individual's subordinate position relative to the monarch or state. There are two main systems used to determine citizenship as of the time of birth: jus soli, whereby citizenship is acquired by birth within the territory of the state, regardless of parental citizenship, and jus sanguinis, whereby a person, wherever born, is a citizen of the state if, at the time of his or her birth, his or her parent is one. The United States and the countries of the British Commonwealth adopt the jus soli as their basic principle. They also recognize acquisition of nationality by descent, but subject it to strict limitations. The acquisition of citizenship by a woman through marriage to a citizen was the prevailing principle in modern times until after World War I. Under this system, the wife and children shared the nationality status of the husband and father as head of the family. From the 1920s, under the impact of women's suffrage and ideas about the equality of men and women, a new system developed in which a woman's nationality was not affected by marriage. The resulting mixed nationality marriages sometimes create complications, particularly in regard to the nationality status of the children, and accordingly various mixed systems have been devised, all stressing the woman's and child's freedom of choice. Here are some among the most revolutionary documents on citizenship. The Americans' Declaration of Independence, written mainly by Thomas Jefferson and adopted by Congress on the 4th of July, 1776. And the French Declaration of the Rights of Man and the Citizen. Its first 4 articles became the preamble of the subsequent Constitution in 1791. The key words here are free and equal rights, natural and imprescriptible rights of man. The authority proceeds directly from the nation. All members of the society are entitled with the same rights, whose limit can only be determined by the law. This is Olympe de Gouges' declaration, written in response to the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. By publishing this document, de Gouges hoped to expose the failures of the French Revolution in the recognition of gender equality. 1 year later, Mary Wollstonecraft wrote her A Vindication of the Rights of Woman with strictures on political and moral subjects, 1792. As you read, you can find out her main aim in writing it. In it, she responds to those educational and political theorists of the 18th century who believed that women should not receive a rational education. She argues that women's education ought to match their position in society and that they are essential to the nation because they raise its children and could act as respected companions to their husbands. Wollstonecraft maintains that women are human beings deserving of the same fundamental rights as men, and that treating them as mere ornaments or property for men undermines the moral foundations of society. The 13th Amendment, passed April 1864 and ratified December 1865, officially abolished slavery in the USA. It is directly from the dreadful experience of the Second World War that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is written. It comprises 18 members from various nationalities and political backgrounds. It was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on the 10th of December 1948. You can have a look at the picture to see what universal citizenship guarantees and protects. The Declaration of the Rights of the Child is an international document promoting child rights, drafted by Eglantine Jabb and adopted by the League of Nations in 1924, then adopted in an extended form by the United Nations in 1959. Here are its first 5 articles. As you can see, the child is finally recognized as a member of the community and given the right to material and spiritual development, nutrition, shelter, relief, and protection from exploitation. On the 18th of December 1979, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly. The Convention was the culmination of more than 30 years of work by the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, a body established in 1946 to monitor the situation of women and to promote women's rights. Here is Part 1, Article 1, which gives the definition of discrimination as any distinction, exclusion, or restriction made on the basis of sex, which has the effect or purpose of impairing or nullifying the recognition, enjoyment, or exercise by women, irrespective of their marital status, on a basis of equality of men and women, of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, civil, or any other field. Here are the names of some women who made it. Angela Merkel was the first woman to become Chancellor of Germany. Christine Lagarde was the first woman to run the International Monetary Fund. Madeleine Albright was the first woman to be the United States Secretary of State under the Clinton administration from 1997 to 2001. Margaret Thatcher was the first and only female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1979 to 1990. Nancy Pelosi was the first female Speaker of the House of Representatives from 2006 until 2012 and now since 2019. Malala Yousafzai is a Pakistani activist who, while a teenager, spoke out publicly against the prohibition on the education of girls. She survived an assassination attempt at age 15. In 2014, Yousafzai and Kailash Satyarthi were jointly awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace in recognition of their efforts on behalf of children's rights. As you can understand, the human rights issue is crucial to global citizenship, and it is a complex and vital process which implies a shared new vision in the social, economic and political areas of our lives under two different levels of both national and international commitment. Here is the list of sources and further links for your personal research.